One of the most recent live streams, The Chosen gave us 2 new scenes, one of them being with the Sons of Thunder, Thomas and Zebedee, and this other one being with Simon and Eden, and a little bit of voice acting from Simon the Zealot and Nathaniel as well.
Enjoy.
As Dallas specified during the live stream, this particular scene is going to come from season 3, episode 2, and this is going to be right after everyone's return from the Sermon on the Mount, and they're kind of finding their own places. So as we see the conclusion of the Sermon on the Mount, as all the disciples are returning back, Jesus tells them that they're going to take a break for a while, that he's going to go off and they're going to go off back home and take some time. I believe that this means that we're going to see Jesus back in Nazareth, as we've seen evidence of in the behind the scenes, as he talks with Mary and he gets thrown out of the synagogue and a bunch of other stuff happens. But we're also going to see as the disciples go back home as well. Some of them, their homes are pretty far away, and so they're going to go to Capernaum instead and hang out with some of these other people that have extra rooms in their house. Nathaniel and Simon the Zealot are 2 of these people who need a place to stay. And so Nathaniel is actually from Caesarea. And then we also see Simon the Zealot, he's from the desert somewhere with the Zealots, but originally I think he was from Jerusalem. So their homes aren't here, right? And Simon, not being a Zealot anymore, literally doesn't have a room anywhere.
I am not a zealot anymore, just zealous.
But in this scene particularly, I love how The Chosen isn't afraid to dive into how a relationship really should be in marriage. And they're not afraid to show some of this that might be uncomfortable for a lot of other Christian productions. Remember, one of the key words that The Chosen uses to describe themselves is disruptive. And so this is definitely disruptive in the Christian sphere. There's not a lot of Christian shows or movies that would dive this deeply into kind of this relational aspect of marriage, and I appreciate that. Again, I can't show you this scene because it's an unfinished product and Dallas doesn't want it out there to the general public, but let's walk through the scene so I can explain to you exactly what's going on here. First, we see Eden cooking in the kitchen. She's kneading some kind of dough for bread, and as Simon walks in, he comes behind her and gives her a tight hug, kissing her neck gently. Eden says, "Are you going to be here the whole time I do this?" Simon says, "Yes." And then Eden replies, "Good." Simon, Z, and Nathaniel are arguing in the background about a pillow in the other room. Simon Peter looks in the direction and shouts, "Boys!" They quiet down. Eden looks back at Simon and says, "You've trained them." Simon says, "Well, your cooking is a powerful incentive. If they want to eat, they will stay in their room quietly," making sure they can hear him say that. Nathaniel replies, "Okay, we're quiet now." Simon the Zealot says, "Sorry." Eden asks, "Won't they get bored?" Simon replies, "Well, they both have so much to study." Eden turns around and looks straight into Simon's eyes. "And you don't?" smiling. Simon looks back and says, "Of course I do. But, you know, I think you could help me." Eden replies, "Really?" As he takes her hand and starts to walk away, he says, "Yeah, let's study. Come on. Yeah, I have much to learn."
Is this a kissing book?
Generally, this would not be something that we would see in a Christian TV show or a Christian movie, but I think this is really important that we talk about this kind of stuff, because marriage is God ordained. It's something that is important, and sex within marriage is extremely important as well. It's a part of the whole covenant. God created it so that we could have intimacy, so that we could come closer, so that we could have these moments like Simon and Eden are having. And that's important to talk about within the church, because I feel like the church has so often treated sex and treated relationships like this in such a bad way. Yes, the church always celebrates marriage, but there's a lot of times when sex becomes the enemy instead of teaching about sex in the proper way in church. I have known dozens and dozens of teenagers and young adults who struggle with this concept as they've grown up in church, and this includes myself. For a long time in my marriage, I had a really bad relationship with what sex was supposed to look like, feeling guilty even in my marriage, walking in that. And so it was really hard for me to relearn all of those things and to have a biblical understanding of what this relationship with my wife should look like. And I think this is a really healthy way of looking at it, looking at these characters who we've seen throughout the last 2 seasons, but having these moments. And I don't think it's gonna stop here, right? We've seen a lot of behind the scenes that Simon and Eden are not gonna have just an easy time and everything's gonna be perfect. Things are gonna be really hard for them as well. They're gonna get in fights and be angry with each other, be frustrated at the circumstance that they're in. It's all gonna culminate in a lot of different things. And so as we see this is just one side of the story. and we have to keep that in mind as we continue to watch and continue to wait for season 3. It really seems like season 3 of The Chosen is going to dive really deep into relationships between the disciples and how they're interacting with each other. Obviously, the relationship between Simon and Eden here. And I think we're going to see a lot of this culminate into these blossoming character development moments that are going to be so awesome for us in season 3 to give us a better insight of who these characters are and why they're doing what they're doing, why they're following Jesus in the first place. If you have any thoughts on this, leave it in the comments below. And thank you so much to our Patreon family who keep this channel running. Keep living the snipe life, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. And real quick before you go ahead and check out this video right here where I break down a scene with Matthew and his parents, well, disowning him from season 3 of The Chosen.